Hi, sixth graders. Please open up your math books to page 219. So you see it at the bottom of the corner, 219. And make sure you guys are being on your best behaviors today and tomorrow, please. I'll give you a minute. Make sure you have a pencil out, page 219. If you need some more time, go ahead and pause the video. We're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, I'm going to read the exploration. So it says the record time for the girls' 50-meter freestyle swimming competition is 24 and 4900 seconds. Camilla has been training and wants to break the record. What are some possible times Camilla would have to swim to break the current record? So we look at the picture and we see swimmer A is she swam, 26 and 56 hundredths of a second. Swimmer B, 25 and 14 hundredths of a second. Swimmer C, 24 and 49 hundredths, and D, 25 and 32 hundredths of a second. So we are wanting to break the record. So I have this question over here. Oops, sorry guys. Does Camilla need a time greater or less than the current record in order to break it? So think about that on your own right now. Does Camilla need a time greater or less than the current in order to break it? I hope you said less than, because if you're wanting to break a record, that means you want to get faster, right? And so if the current record is 24 and 49 hundredths seconds, we want to get a shorter amount of time. So we can write, so go ahead and write with me, Camilla's I'm going to change that, sorry. I'm going to write Camilla. I'm going to erase. So Camilla needs to swim a time less than 24.49 seconds. And so the actual question says, what are some possible times Camilla would have to swim? So I want you to make up your own time. What would be a possible time that Camilla needs to swim? Now think about, if you're breaking a record, that means it's a really fast record, right? So she's probably not going to break it by like 20 seconds if it's only 24. So anything less than 24.49. So a possible time could be 24 seconds. Maybe even 23. Oh my, can't write. 23 or maybe 23.9. You could have some decimals in there. Or 23.52. You can write your own times there, but anything less than 24.49. Now, something that we're going to write here, it's not part of the problem, but we're going to make a little table here. So go ahead and draw a big box. I'm going to use the iPad since I can. And so we're going to make a box, maybe kind of like this. Okay. And, sorry, still learning this iPad. Okay. So in this box, we're going to break it up into 5 sections, okay? So this first section can be like our smallest one. And then the top one is also going to be fairly small. So it should look kind of like this. Oh, that's not a very straight line. That's okay. And then this part, oh my gosh. This part we're going to write symbol. And down here we're going to write key phrases. So symbol and key phrases. Okay. Then we're going to split up the rest of the boxes into 4. So cut it in half, and then each of those in half again. So now we have 4 more. We're going to write something in each box. So we've learned about inequalities before. So our learning target is I can understand and write an inequality that describes a real-world situation. So an inequality is anything that has a less than symbol or a greater than symbol. And you guys have done inequalities before. Now something we are going to learn about this year, and you might have seen before, but there's actually what's called a less than or equal to symbol. So see how it has the line underneath? That stands for part of the equal sign. And then also a greater than or equal to symbol. So those are the different symbols you might see. Now you're also going to, when we graph, and that's going to be more tomorrow, you're going to see on a graph, is there an open circle like this on these two? So go ahead and write open circles. That means that whatever number it's at, it's not included. But then with the equal to line underneath, it's a shaded in circle. And that means that that number is included, so whatever number that is. Now that will make a lot more sense tomorrow in tomorrow's lesson, but for today, right now, just write it down because you can use these notes for tomorrow. Okay? All right, now we're going to write some key phrases. So we all know this symbol, that's the less than symbol, so we're going to write less than. But something else that you might see is the word fewer than. Okay. And then obviously this other symbol is the greater than symbol. And it might also be referred to as more than. Now these two new symbols, you're going to have to write kind of small. It is, you would say it's still a less than symbol, but you say less than or equal to. And sometimes you'll say it's at most something. So like for example, in my math group after school, I can have at most 20 people because I only have enough for 20 snacks. So that might be something that is used. Or something else would be no more than, meaning I can have no more than 20 people. But that means that 20 is included. Or if you say less than 20, you can't even have 20, but you could have 19. But if you say less than or equal to, that means you can have 20 or 19, 18, 17, etc. And then this other one, this last one, we're going to write similar things. It's the greater than symbol. Greater than or equal to. Ran out of room there. We would write at least. And we would write no less than. So we might say, oh, we have to have at least 20 people to play basketball or soccer. We need no less than 11 people on the football field because you can't have any more, right? So those might be used there. Okay, make sure you copy all that down because you will be able to use this a lot. So pause it if you are not finished yet. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the bottom part where it says be precise. Fran won a blue ribbon for growing the heaviest pumpkin. It weighed 217 pounds. What could the weights of the other pumpkins in the contest? What could be the weights? How could you show the weights of other pumpkins using a mathematical statement? Explain. So first off, I want you to write down just a couple weights that you think it could be. What could be the weights of other pumpkins in the contest if they are less than 217 pounds? So go ahead and write a couple numbers. I'm going to write the numbers. Let's see. 210. Let's go 214. 205, 200. So all those numbers are less than 217. Okay, and then the next question says, how could you show the weights of the other pumpkins using a mathematical statement? So this is kind of what we're learning today. It's writing inequalities. So we're going to choose a variable, and I'm just going to choose x, and you're going to write this too. And we have the less than, because it has to be, it's less than this pumpkin, because the heaviest pumpkin is 217. So all the other pumpkins are less. So if I look up at my chart, less than is this symbol up here. So it's going to be x, so the pumpkin is less than, and then what's our number? 217. So this is our inequality. So when we talk about inequalities, it's when we have one of these four symbols. And I guess there is really a fifth symbol. I'm going to write it up here. And it's does not equal. I know you guys have heard me talk about this one before. I ran out of room. Sorry. Does not equal. Okay. All right, go ahead and flip the page. All right, let's read the definition of an inequality. Okay. An inequality is a mathematical sentence that contains less than, greater than, less than or equal to, and greater than or equal to, or not equal to. How can you write an inequality to describe the ages of children who must be accompanied by an adult at the sledding hill? So let's look at this sign. It says children under the age of 8 must be accompanied by an adult. Okay. So anyone under 8 has to be with an adult, right? Well, why would we not just use an equation like the child equals 8? Why would we use an inequality instead of an equation? So the answer is we use inequalities because there is a lot of answers to inequalities. So for example, in this problem, if we look down here, it could be any age less than 8 can't be by themselves. So it could be 7.5, like they have the red dot, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Hopefully a 0-year-old, someone who's a day old, doesn't go sledding. But the reason we use inequalities is because there's a lot of answers. It's not just one answer. So that's why we use inequalities instead of equations. So we could write that, if we look over here, as A is less than 8. Okay, let's do the try it. It says use the number line to show some of the ages of people who do not need to be accompanied by an adult. Write an inequality, so we have to write it, to represent the ages of people, and it says to use n, who do not need to be accompanied. So we're trying to figure out who doesn't need to go with an adult, so who can go by themselves. So let's put a couple ages. So let's first make this number line. Let's start at 0, because, right, you can't be a negative age. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. My handwriting's terrible on this. Make sure you're writing this. And so let's put some dots at the ages that you can go by yourself. So go skiing. So remember, the sign says children under the age of 8 must be accompanied by an adult. So let's say if you're 10, you could go by yourself. So we could put a little dot there. 14, you could go by yourself. 8, all of these numbers, 9, 10, 11, all of these you can go by yourself. So that's why it's not an equal sign. That's why we would say you have to be greater than 8. So it says to use n, so we're going to use n, and it's greater than 8, but can it also be equal to 8? So it says children under the age of 8 must be accompanied by an adult. So can you be 8 and go by yourself? Yes, you can. So therefore, we're going to put an equal to sign underneath it as well. And then the number they give us is 8. So this is our inequality. So your age must be greater or equal to 8. That convinced me. We might skip that one. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next page for time. So So page 221 now. Says, write an inequality to represent each situation. So guys, when we're writing an inequality, we need a number, a letter, which is a variable, remember, and a symbol. And remember, our symbol, we can always go back to that first page when we wrote this table. We can always go back to look at those 4 symbols, remember. Okay, or 5, I guess, remember. So the length of a piece of wire, so that's L, they're telling us to use L, is longer than 20 1/4 feet. So remember, we need a number. We got the number. A letter, it tells us L. So it tells us 2 of the things. Now we just have to figure out the symbol. If it's longer than 20, does that mean greater or less than 20? It means greater. And then we ask ourselves, does it mean equal to as well? No, it just says it has to be longer. So it's just going to be this symbol. So it's going to be L is greater than 20 1/4. So the answer is right there at the bottom. So that means any number bigger than 20 1/4. And there is an infinite number of solutions. So it honestly goes up to infinity, right? Okay, B. The number of students, S, is at most 30. So remember, I'm going to have S, and I'm going to look at most, and I can go back to my notes, and I see at most is right here. At most is the less than or equal to symbol. So it's right here. So at most 30. So S is at most 30. That means any number that's smaller than 30 or equal to 30. C, the cost of pizza, C, so once you do C, will be at least, so I'm going to look back at my chart, at least is the greater or equal to sign, $8. So that's what I write. C is greater or equal to 8. D, Zoe's age, Z, is not 11 years old. Now, if it tells you it's just not something, it's this symbol. That means it's not equal to. So it's Z is not equal to 11. Okay, I want you to try these triads right here. So you're going to, remember you have to have a letter. So you get to pick the letter. You can pick any. You have to have the number it gives you. And then you have to have this symbol. And you can go back to that first page. I want you to try these 3, A, B, and C, all by yourself. So go ahead and try those 3 right now. Okay, go ahead and pause it if you need some more work time. But otherwise, we're going to start. So Harry is taller than 60. So what are we trying to figure out? We are trying to figure out how tall Harry is. So I'm going to use H for Harry. You could use any other letter. Taller than, let's come back to that. And then 60 is our number. So now we just need our symbol. If he's taller than 60, does that mean greater or less than? It means greater, but does it mean equal to as well? Can he be equal to 60? No. So our answer is just H is greater than 60. B, Sherry is not 4 years old. So Sherry, I'm going to use S, is not 4. So S blank 4. And is not is that symbol. Not equal to. And then Hank, so H, has at least, can go back. Let's see, at least is greater or equal to $7.50. Whoops. Gosh. $7.50. There we go. So that's how you write an inequality. You need some sort of letter, so the variable, you need a number, and you need a symbol. Okay, let's move on to the next page. So go ahead and flip the page to page 222. Now, they do have this nice chart on the key concept. They have these. We just added some words to it, but they have the symbols, and this one here is the one we didn't really write down, so make sure you know that one is not equal to. You can use this chart, or you can use the one on the page we wrote down, but we're going to do just a couple of problems, okay? So, first one says, how can you write an inequality to describe a situation? So first, remember, we have to have a variable, so a letter, okay? Second, we have to have a number. Third, we have to have a symbol. And those symbols could be less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater or equal to. Oh my, I usually messed that one up. Hold on. Nope. I feel like an old person doing this. Okay, less than or equal to, greater or equal to, or not equal to. Okay? So that's how you write an inequality. Number 2, what is the difference between an equation with a variable and an inequality with a variable? So what the difference are is equations have one answer. Inequalities have an infinite amount of answers. Okay, so those are the difference. So equations have an answer. So it says x equals 5, where inequalities is x is greater than 5. So it could be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way to infinity. Number 3, would it be more efficient to use an inequality or to list all of the quantities less than 6? Explain. What do you think? So would I use an equation or an inequality to list all the numbers less than 6? I hope you said inequality, because you could list 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, but then remember it goes negatives forever and ever. So an inequality would be the most efficient. Number 4, how are the symbols for greater than and greater than or equal to related? So they both represent numbers that are bigger. I'm going to say that are greater, because they're both a greater than symbol. But the greater than or equal to symbol includes that number. So if it says greater than or equal to 8, it means it could be 8, 9, 10. Or if it says just greater than 8, it would be 9, 10. So see the difference there. Okay, let's do a couple. Number 5. This is all writing an inequality. So it says a number n, so n, is greater than, so look up here too, it shows you greater than 22. So that's what I'm going to write. N is greater than 22. 6, the value v does not equal 2.5. So that's up here. V does not equal 2.5. I want you to do 7 through 12. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I want you to pause the video, please, and do 7 through 12. Make sure to have the video paused. I'm going to start going through it. So it says A is at most. We could go back to the first page, but at most means less than or equal to 15. There's the answer. The width of the picture W is shorter, so that's less than 8.5. So W is less than 8.5. Steve's height H is at least, so that's greater or equal to 48. So H is greater or equal to 48. Vera's baby brother's age B is not, that's that symbol, 24 months. So B does not equal 24. 11. Q, the number of quarters in the jar is less than, so that's just less than, 75. So Q is less than 75. The length of the fish a fisherman catches F must be at least, so that's this symbol, 10 inches. So F is at least, so greater or equal to, because it has to be more than 10. So make sure you got all of those down. If you need to go back and write anything down, you can, but I will be checking this when I get back. You'll be turning in this lesson. Okay, last thing. I know this has probably been long and boring and not fun, okay? But I want you to do 13 through 22. So you are doing all of these on this page besides the bottom two, okay? This is homework if you don't finish 13 through 22. So when I get back, you'll turn it in. You will not turn it in now, so please don't rip it out because then you'll lose it. Keep it in your book, and then you'll turn it in when I get back on Friday, okay? So get these 10 questions done, okay? If you need help, please ask, but you should be able to do it. You need to make sure you have a letter, a number, and a symbol. Those are the 3 things you need to have. It's okay if some of them might be a little bit hard. You might have to think about, okay, like number 13, up to 12 people. So does that mean greater or less than? So you have to do some thinking on your own. You may listen to music now and make sure you get this done, and then you can work on one of the GIM kits. All right. Have a good rest of your day, guys.